So I've been getting a ton of questions lately about this new Sony Bravia 75-inch TV, the K75XR70, and honestly, I get why. When a big-name brand like Sony drops a new 75-inch 4K set with mini LED and a 4-year protection plan bundled in, people are going to pay attention. The chatter online has been steady, especially from folks looking to upgrade their living room without diving into the crazy expensive 85-inch models. After seeing the specs and actually spending a week testing it out in my setup, I wanted to break down exactly what this TV does well, and whether it's actually worth your hard-earned cash. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Now, I'll be honest, when I first unboxed this, I was struck by how premium it feels for the size. The 75-inch screen is massive, but it's not bulky. The bezels are super slim, and it mounts cleanly on the wall if that's your thing. But really, what sold me early on was the mini LED backlighting. It's not the same as OLED, obviously, but it's a big jump up from standard LED TVs. You get much deeper blacks and way more punch in bright scenes, especially with HDR content. I tested it with a few 4K nature documentaries and some action movies, and the contrast really stands out. Sunsets looked rich, shadows had depth, and there wasn't that washed-out glow you sometimes get around bright objects. The processing power here is another thing worth noting. It runs on Sony's XR processor, which handles upscaling really well. I streamed a few older cable shows and even low-res YouTube videos, and the TV did a solid job making them look clearer and more stable. Motion handling is smooth, too. I used the motion smoothing lightly during sports, a football game and an F1 race, and it eliminated blur without making it look like a soap opera effect, which I hate. There's a setting where you can tweak it just right, which I appreciate. It's not locked into a one-size-fits-all mode. Now, a lot of people ask me about smart features, and this one runs Google TV. I've used both Google TV and Roku, and I'll say, Google TV makes browsing content really simple. It pulls in suggestions from multiple apps, so you're not jumping between Netflix, YouTube, and Disney Plus to remember what you wanted to watch. It also has voice control through the remote, and it actually works reliably. I'd say, "Hey Google, play The Bear on Hulu," and it launched without a glitch. The remote itself is easy to use, though the buttons are a little flat, nothing too fancy, but it does the job. One thing that's easy to overlook, but matters in the long run. The included 4-year Amber protection plan. I don't usually care much about extended warranties, but having 4 years of accidental damage coverage actually gives some peace of mind, especially with a big screen like this. Let's be real, life happens. Kids, pets, someone bumping into it during a party. Knowing it's covered for spills, drops during installation, or even power surges. That's not something most TVs come with, and it adds real value to this bundle. Connectivity is solid, too. It's got 4 HDMI ports, all 2.1, so you can hook up a gaming console, a soundbar, a streaming box, and a Blu-ray player without fighting for space. I ran my PS5 through it, and the auto HDR tone mapping kicked in seamlessly. The input lag was low, and fast-paced games felt responsive. It also supports ALLM and VRR, so if you're into gaming, you're not missing out. That said, it's not perfect. One thing I noticed is that the speakers, while fine for casual viewing, don't quite match the picture quality. If you're watching something with heavy bass, or a big orchestral score, it starts to rattle a bit. I ended up plugging in my soundbar pretty quickly, which fixed that, but if you're not planning to use external audio, just know the built-in sound is decent but not immersive. Also, the smart remote doesn't have backlit buttons, which is kind of annoying when you're trying to find it in a dark room at night. But overall, I really think this is one of those rare mid-tier TVs that punches above its weight. It's not the absolute top of Sony's lineup, but for the price, especially with that 4-year protection plan bundled in, it makes a strong case, especially if you've been holding off on a big screen upgrade. The Mini LED quality is noticeable, the processing is sharp, and Google TV still feels like one of the more user-friendly platforms out there. It's also worth pointing out that Sony's color accuracy is excellent straight out of the box, so you're not dealing with that oversaturated, too bright look some brands go for. So if you've been on the fence about a larger TV this year, especially with summer movie nights, or the upcoming sports seasons, this one deserves a long look. I've been running it as my main living room TV, and aside from the remote lighting and wanting slightly better speakers, I haven't felt the need to switch back to anything else. Link is in the description if you want to check it out on Amazon.